Good morning. This is the 11th lesson of a series of seminars, international e-learning seminars of the Homeopathic Academy. I am the president of the Homeopathic Academy, and these lessons are conducted by Homeopathic Academy in collaboration with the Marathon International Summer School and the Homeopathy Data Bank for Classical Homeopathy. Today's subject is a theoretical one. Nevertheless, there is no such division between theory and practice in holistic thinking, and we are teaching homeopathy, classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy, and we are teaching it by employing holistic thinking that obeys and respects the universal and homeopathic laws. We respect these laws either in diagnosis or in treatment, and we do respect these laws also in training. So, our subject today is man and the universe. A French philosopher, a famous French philosopher, Voltaire, talking about the doctors, the medical doctors of his time, said, doctors give medicines, give drugs for which they know little, to illnesses that they know less, to man that they know nothing about. And this is unfortunately true nowadays also. When someone goes to the medical school to be taught medicine, and especially the allopathic therapeutic system, he learns about everything about the body of man, the material body. He doesn't know about man as a whole. So, he tries to cure and diagnose without knowing the full image, the full picture of man, and without knowing the place of man in the universe and its mission. Or, if he doesn't know, he should be taught at the university, at the medical university, of several theories about the role of man and the reason of existence of man. If you don't know these things, or if you don't start thinking about these things, then you cannot practice medicine, and especially homeopathy, in a very effective and true way. You don't have deep, effective treatments. We will see that in our lesson today, as we have seen it in the previous lessons about universal and homeopathic laws. Because I will give you examples from everyday clinical practice, allopathic practice and homeopathic practice, that can reveal how crucial is it to have a correct image about man in your mind and in your soul. Because the way you think about man, about the structure and function of man, the same way you will diagnose and treat. If you believe that man is only an organism that is a material body, then you will diagnose the symptoms of the physical body, and you will give remedies that are chemical, that are material, in order to cure the material body. But you don't deal with the rest of the human levels. And if you believe that man is just an isolated organism, isolated from the environment, then you will not treat, you will not diagnose the environment. And I don't speak only about germs, the material environment. I speak about the etheric environment, the energy environment. I speak about the psychological environment of the person, of the patient. I speak about the natural environment in general. And I speak about the reason of existence of man and its relation to universe and the creator. So, according to the beliefs that you have in your mind about man, it's how you act. We demand from a mechanic, a car mechanic, to know what he's going to fix, to know the car, not just to know the mechanical parts. We want him to know the electricity circuit. We also want him to know why this car is built like that, the make of the car, and the reason for existing of this car. Is it a 4x4 car, a Jeep? Is it a family car? Is it a transportation car for transporting people? Is it a special car for war? A military car, and so on. According to the make, to the reason of existence of each car, you treat it differently. So in the same way, if you are a doctor and you want to take care, to cure of this car, and man is not a car, it's not a machine, then you have to know the full scale of the levels of this thing that you are going, this creature you are going to fix, and you have to know for what reason each level was made, and you have to know the specific individual, what are his predispositions and what are the role of this individual and its relation with the universe and the creator. So that doesn't mean that we in homeopathy and especially in classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy we have all the answers to all the questions, but we believe that we must ask ourselves. That doesn't mean that anyone who is trained with this method has to adopt all these theoretical scheme that I am going to teach you about. But we have to deal with these things. We have to think about it, and then you can give your answers first, and then clinical practice. Your clinical practice will give you more answers and so on. So you see, when you practice homeopathy, you don't have questions and answers only about the patients. You have questions and answers about yourself, because you examine not only the patients, you examine yourself also. And this gives you the chance, the great chance, not only to cure others, but to cure yourself. We speak about the healing of the healer. And the more and the less ill you are as a healer, the more efficiently you will cure others. Because you are the camera that videotapes the patient, and if you're a good camera, you've got a good clinical picture of the patient, and then you've got a correct prescription of the right homeopathic remedy that will cover the whole of the patient. That's why you've got to be a good videotape, a good picture. So you have to have a clear image in your mind of what is man. So we will again use, as I have said before, holistic thinking. And holistic thinking means that we employ the universal laws in our thought. So when we start thinking about the levels, the structure and the function of man, and its relation to the structure and function of the universe, we have to employ the universal laws. We have, as we have said in the previous lessons, 3 universal laws for the structure of universe. The law of uniqueness and diversity, that everything is one, and from this one come all the diversity, all the parts, if we could say parts, all the levels of all the diversity that we see in creation. Second is that we have between sub-levels of several different levels, we have corresponding situations, and third, we have a hierarchy in the according as concerns levels. Let me draw a scheme. We have, first of all, we start with universe, because universe, according to the law of hierarchy, is more than man, and it includes man. So we have universe, and we have man. At this point, I will remind you of a saying of the Christian religion and of other religions and of several philosophies, that man is made in the image of the Creator, in the image of the universe, in the image of God. You can employ any term you like, it doesn't change anything. Whenever we speak about universe, if we give to universe the properties of God, we speak about the same thing. Whenever we speak about God, if we give it to him the properties of the universe, we speak about the same thing. So, even if we were speak about God, universe, or nature, we speak about the same thing. We speak about the Creator, the first principle, the whole, the one and only, from which all other come. Let's make this man happy. So, we have several levels. I will talk about these levels. Yet I must explain it. Man is created in the image of universe, God the Creator. We will prove that by what we will say. What does that mean? It means that it has the same levels of existence. And as we will see later, only man has the full levels of existence of the universe. Man resembles God because he participates in all levels of existence, while minerals, plants, animals don't participate in all levels. Angels, demons, call it as you like, don't participate in all levels of existence. The structure of man has in it all the levels of existence. That's what makes man a unique creature, the most unique creature of universe. And this is not egoistic about, this is not human selfishness. It is a reality. So, if you have the structure and function of all levels of universe, and that makes you a unique creature, you also have the ability, the chance to participate in all knowledge of the universe. And this is another unique thing, and we will see it in the process. So, first of all, I will start from man, although according to the law of hierarchy, we should start from the universe, because it is easier for us to understand it for educational reasons. So, in man, we have the material body. Or the physical body. The material body of man. What's that? We all know it, and especially as doctors. We see it, we touch it, we feel it. It's our organism, our physical organism. It's our organic systems, organs, cells, atoms, subatomic particles. Is there a corresponding thing in nature, in universe, that corresponds to the material body of man? Yes, of course, we see it, we touch it, we live in it. And that is the material world. Our material body is the children of the mother material world. Our body consists of the same materials that we have in the material world, and in the same analogy as concerns frequency in general. And we are not, our body consists of 70% of water. Water is the most frequent element in nature. Chemical union in nature. So, we exchange materials with the material world. We take and we give. Material world affects our material body, and we affect the material world. So, we interact with the material world around us. When we die, the elements of our material body go to the material world. When we are created, our material body is created, it takes materials from the material world. Isn't it wise? Isn't it nice? It's clear. Things will not be so clear as we go up, but this natural law that we are the child of the Mother Nature as concerns our material body, and that we exchange materials with the material world, and that we interact, and that we go back to the material world when we die. This truth, this natural law that is valid for this level, according to the law of hierarchy, is a sub-law that comes from a greater natural and from a universal law. And this will help us define higher levels. In the same way that we have a material body, about 200 or 300 years ago, medical science talked only about the material body. They didn't know about energies, temperature, electricism, magnetism, and so on. And they didn't accept the existence of such energy since they couldn't see it. Later on, scientists, and especially today, talk about energies, the energy fields, electromagnetism, and so on, radiation. So then we go to the lower energy body. Temperature, chemical energy, electromagnetism, sound, ultrasounds, and so on, radiations, and so on. Where do these come from? From the mother. The children comes from the mother. So have the lower energy world. Any temperature existing in our body comes from the energy of the environment. Any radiation comes from it. But we exchange energies. We are the children, this is the mother. And this affects us and can create illness from such influences. For example, radiation can cause diseases, illness, imbalance. And the same with the materials. If you take a poison and you take it in your system, your material body will get sick. And we make nature get sick. We spoil the environment with pollution and so on. Up to this point, we don't have any differences in opinion with the allopathic therapeutic system. From this point on, things start changing. There is a question that pops up. 1 millisecond before our death and 1 millisecond after our death, what changes in the material body? Nothing. But the 1 minute we have a living organism, the other minute we have a corpse, a dead body. What has left? What has changed? Someone pulled the, what do you call it? The plug out of the electricity. If you have a refrigerator and the plug is in, then you have a working live refrigerator. If you take the plug out, nothing has changed as concerning the structure, the material body of the refrigerator. But you don't have you have a dead refrigerator. It's not functioning, it's not live, it's not serving its purpose of existence. There is no electricity, there is no energy flowing in the material body of the refrigerator and making it work, giving it life. The same thing stands bold, and even more bold, for the human organism. Once someone has pulled out the plug, you are dead. You are as good as dead. What has left is not electricity, it's another form of energy. We could say the same example for a computer. You've got a wise computer functioning, but if you take the plug out and there's no energy left in the battery of the computer, then you've got a dead, stupid computer. You've got only material body. So what has left is a form of energy, a higher form of energy, because we are not machines. We are living creatures. And what has left is the energy that gives us life. A living energy, the energy of life. In homeopathy, we call this vital force. Or etheric energy. Vital force. Other therapeutic systems or philosophical systems have called it with another term, but they mean the same thing. We talk about the energy that gives life, not only to people, but also to animals and plants. It's the energy of life. In acupuncture, they call it Qi or Qi. In other systems, they call it prana. They call it, Wilhelm Reich called it orgone energy or cosmic energy. It doesn't matter how you call it. In ancient Greece, call it spirit, and so on. It doesn't matter how you call it. We have to define it in order to be correct. And the definition is by its properties. We do the same in science, in physics, in chemistry, in mathematics. What is a sphere? We have the definition talking about its properties. In the same way, what are the properties of this vital force, of this etheric energy of man? It fills in our physical body. It gives motion to our physical body. It gives change, increase, decrease in our physical body. It gives creation, birth to a formation to our physical body. And when it leaves, the material body declines. It gives our material body the chance to have a higher structure instead of minerals and plants. We have the organic molecules. Organic molecules are of higher construction. Proteins, DNA, RNA, all these higher structure is created and maintained by vital force. Then we have the phenomena of health and illness. Our vital force is the one responsible for our defense and our homeostasis, our balance. All these things are the properties of vital force. Without the vital force, we have no life. So, where does this vital force come from? If these children come from this mother, if these children, which is very relative to the other, comes from this mind, then from these children comes from this mother, the etheric world. Our etheric body is the child of the etheric world outside of us and inside of us. We exchange etheric energy. There is a constant flow in and out of etheric energy. And in the same way that stressful material factors can injure our material body and cause injure in a general way and cause illness, in the same way that lower energies can imbalance our lower energy body, in the same way, according to the second universal law of corresponding levels, in the same way, etheric energies outside of our negative etheric energies outside our body can influence our etheric body and cause imbalance of the vital force and illness. And in the same way, homeopathic remedies that are of etheric nature, of higher energy nature, can bring back the balance of vital force. And not only homeopathic drugs are energy etheric drugs. There are other remedies, there are other therapeutical systems that employ the same energy action on the curative action on the etheric energy of man. Acupuncture with the needles. They establish the flow of the cosmic etheric energy to the etheric energy of that our physical body has. So again, interaction. Now let's go a level up. You see how things get clear if you think with the holistic way, if you have the whole picture and if you know the essence of what you are talking about. We've got a level that is called psychological level, or the level of the soul, or somebody could say our brain. Is the brain our soul? Is the brain and the soul the same thing? Is the nervous system the same thing with our soul, with our intellect, with our emotions? No. The brain is part of the material body. It consists of matter, and it uses lower energies, electricity, chemical energy, and so on. So the brain is the material body. What about the soul? Or psyche, as we call it in from the Greek term psyche, psyche. We talk about psychology. It comes from the Greek term psyche, soul. Is brain the same with soul? No. Brain is the material body. Soul is something material-less, without matter. It's a more pure form of energy. More pure than this, more pure than this, it's this. And less pure than that. We will talk about it later. So, there is a gradual climbing from more coarse and more easily to be observed materials to higher forms that are not easily observed, at least with our senses. If we confuse the brain with the soul, we do the same wrong thing when we confuse the computer machine with the user of the computer, with the man that uses the computer. The brain is the laptop I have in front of me, the hardware. The memory is the software. But soul is the user. Get it clear in your mind. A laptop cannot think, cannot feel, cannot behave. It can do all these things only if it has a user and a program in it. The user gives the instructions. The user does all the work. If you confuse the brain with the soul, you confuse the man that lives in a house with the house. The house is the brain. The man that lives in the house is the soul. Thoughts are not material. Things are not secretions of the brain, of the nerve cells. Nerve cells can only produce material substances, serotonin, and so on. They cannot produce thoughts. The soul produces thoughts. Let me give you another example. You have this TV screen. It's a machine. It's a material machine. When you turn on this machine, you see things. What you see is pictures. Pictures that if you don't have a brain to explain these pictures, you've got nothing. If you don't have a channel that this machine is tuned to give you the pictures, you have nothing. And if your brain, if your soul doesn't interpret these pictures, this information, this data. So, this is the computer, the laptop, the hardware, this is the material body. The web, the channel that gives you, that this machinery is tuned to and gives you information is the web, the internet. And this, our soul is the user. If there wasn't any kind of user, this would be meaningless, and the internet would be meaningless. The channel would be meaningless. So, let me tell you that this is the TV. This is the TV. The memory. No. This is the TV. This is the TV. This is the user, and at the same time, this is the user, and this is the channel. This is the TV, this is the user, our individual soul, and this is the channel, it's the psychological world. It's important to clarify this. If you have this a minute after we die, it's of no use, because this has left the body, the user. If you have a user, but it is not alive and it has no brain, it cannot be tuned to the psychological world and get data. But with the brain, without the user, you have nothing. Hierarchically, the user is above the brain. Hierarchically, the channel is above the user. So, whenever and then you have the material world, from our senses, the five senses, you get stimuli from the material world, they go to the brain, the soul interprets this data, this information, this stimuli, interprets this stimuli according to the content of the channel of the psychological world. If there wasn't any psychological world, there wouldn't be any interpretation from the user, from the soul. If we didn't have our memory and our logic and our soul as users of a computer, what we see in a computer would mean nothing. What we see from the camera of the computer would mean nothing. Take a dead corpse and put it in front of a laptop, and will it be able to see through the camera of the computer the external world? No. So, at this point, we should talk about 3 sub-levels of the soul. 3 sub-levels. We have the sensual soul, the intellectual soul, and the conscience soul. Three sub-levels, put hierarchically from lower to higher. Our soul is connected to the material body through the etheric